Good evening. Welcome to Recovering Perfectionist Mama, Grace in Progress. Today we're going to be talking about Nourish, Don't Punish, healing your relationship with food. Why food is never just food. Food is tied to safety, it's tied to control, it's tied to comfort, it's tied to worth, and it's tied to regulation. That's why healing with food is emotional, not just nutritional. Let's talk about the illusion of control. Control often feels like safety until it doesn't. Restriction promises relief, but it creates obsession, scarcity, and rebound eating. Let's talk about the punishment cycle because I know that many of you are probably familiar with that. Whether or not you realize maybe you've struggled with some disordered eating at some point in your life, maybe due to stress, maybe due to peer pressure, maybe due to just overwhelm or just not realizing that you were using it as a coping mechanism. And for people that have dealt with a lot of trauma, eating can be a really sore point for them. It can lead them to either overly restrict or potentially get into kind of binging and things like that, which can be self-destructive behaviors. And they use that as a means of control, especially in a time that is really difficult, such as transitions, maybe a marriage or a divorce or a death of a loved one. That is the thing that offers them comfort in that time. So no judgment here. Punishment shows up as skipping meals, compensating, earning food, guilt after eating. The body reads punishment as a threat. And that can potentially cause higher levels of cortisol, which then leads to the whole craving fatty foods, sugary foods, and then kind of overcompensating and then going back and forth. And ultimately, why willpower fails. Willpower doesn't override biology. A body that demonstrates urgency around food is responding to history, not to weakness. How restriction fuels inflammation. Inconsistent fuel increases stress hormones such as cortisol, blood sugar instability, which is spiking and causing you to crave the sugary, the fatty foods, immune activation. Nourishment calms inflammation because it restores predictability. Neutral eating before intuitive eating. You don't jump from control to intuition. You have to work on that. It's not a one-step done, right? You need to be able to build that muscle and flex that muscle. And you also need to get rid of the whole, this food is good, this food is bad, because that literally triggers your brain into feeling like you're doing something wrong. And no one wants to feel like they're doing the wrong thing, that they are eating, that they're not doing what they need to do by their body. Right? No one wants to feel that way. Neutral eating removes morality first, right? There is no good food. There is no bad food. Foods are foods. You decide what you want to eat based on what you're craving, what your body needs, because ultimately our cravings come from what our body is lacking. Food becomes information, not judgment. You are not a bad person because you had a cookie. You are not a good person because you had fruit. You ate what you wanted. Guilt around food is something that should not happen. Food is for nourishment. Let's talk about rebuilding trust with your body. Trust is built by responding to hunger, honoring fullness without fear, and repairing missed meals. Trust grows through consistency, not perfection. There should be no worry about being perfect when it comes to food because no one's perfect, right? And as a person who has struggled with this cycle for quite a period of time, I will say that I finally learned to actually trust myself and realize that sometimes my body craves certain things and that when I give it to it, it satisfies it and it doesn't need more. I've also been able to not rely on emotions to determine what I'm going to eat. And food is not a reward. Food is something that if you want it, take a bite or two of it, have it, enjoy it, be done, right? That's probably the easiest thing I've actually been working on that for the last year or so, actually probably about 2 years now. And so it is a judgment, or it is a topic that I'm extremely passionate about, because I want others to get the freedom that I've been able to feel recently. Emotional eating versus emotional needs. Eating emotionally is not failure. It happens. We all have it. We all have a moment where we're sad and we feel like we need some comfort. That becomes our comfort. As long as it's not something that you're doing every single day and you're not binging and you're not harming yourself in any way, then that is something that you have to decide for yourself what is good for you. The goal isn't elimination, it's expansion of coping options. Maybe you need a bubble bath instead. Maybe you need a pedicure. Maybe you need a massage. Maybe you need someone to talk to. Maybe you need to do like a diamond dot painting or something. I mean, you need to figure out what works for you and what can help you cope and work through your emotions. Maybe music and crying it out helps. I mean, everyone is a different person. And so like eating cannot actually be a coping mechanism. I mean, it can, but it's not necessarily a healthy coping mechanism. And why healing feels uncomfortable. Letting go of rules feels unsafe at first because there's that part deep down inside of you. They're like, if I don't have any rules, what am I going to do? You know, how am I going to cope with this? How am I going to deal with this? How am I going to handle this? But ultimately, you're capable and you will flex that muscle and you will build that muscle. And it's only going to get stronger over time. And if you need to use maybe a support group or go talk to someone, especially if you're a person who's suffered from disordered eating at any point in your life and you want some help with that, by all means, seek that out. There's no shame in asking for help when you need it. That discomfort is part of wiring, not a sign that you're doing anything wrong. And then adding instead of taking away. Healing focuses on your nourishment, your satisfaction, and your regularity of eating. You don't have to restrict your food and punish yourself for mistakes that have been made to feel like you're doing what's correct, as well as compassion for yourself, not restriction. What food peace actually looks like. Food peace is less obsession, fewer extremes, quicker regulation, and more flexibility, not constant ease, right? You're going to have moments where maybe you slip back into old patterns. That's fine. As soon as you have that awareness there, feel free to slip back, and say, hey, you know what? I had a candy bar, okay? Is that the biggest crime I've committed today? Oh my goodness, You're going to have stuff, and that's great. That's part of living your life, enjoying your life, having fun, going out and being social, maybe having a drink, maybe having some chips and queso. Fine, no big deal, right? Because as long as you're not eating 99% of the time, all the, not so healthy foods, fast foods, things like that, you're going to be fine. Even the experts say 80-20, 85, 85-15. No one is perfect all the time. And I've found that a lot of people who struggle with the eating portion of their life was probably because they potentially were told that they were less than healthy, or they were called negative names regarding their weight, or they were once overweight or whatever. And so there is that stigma there. Or they had parents or people in their lives who modeled that behavior. If you're happy, eat. If you're sad, eat. If you're mad, eat. If you don't know what you're feeling, eat. If you want to be rewarded for this, eat. If you want to, food should never have been introduced to children as a reward. But unfortunately, that's what happens. So in closing, your body isn't asking for punishment. It's asking for consistency. And nourishment is where and how safety begins. So let's talk about actionable strategies. Eat every 3 to 4 hours. If you're hungry, you know what hunger is for you. Pair carbs and protein, that's a longer staying power, as well as remove moral language. Food is neither good nor bad, it's nourishment. Repair missed meals without shame, and practice body respect daily, because body dysmorphia, especially for people who struggle with eating what they need, body dysmorphia is a big one, where people actually feel like they're bigger than what they are. And that also may be a situation where you decide that you want to talk to someone about that, because that can be very limiting, very debilitating, also extremely hard for your self-esteem, and extremely hard to try to be able to cope with on your own. Healing your relationship with food isn't about control, it's about trust. And so ultimately, at some point, we need to try to work to rebuild our trust with ourselves. Trust that we're going to be able to handle, a candy bar and not feel like we need like 5 of them, trust that you're on the right path, that you're doing what you need to do. But try not to overly restrict yourself. If you're having issues with that, definitely seek help from a medical professional if you feel like you're down that path that you need that, or talk to a trusted friend or whatever you feel comfortable at the time. But know that you are on the right path to looking at what will actually work for you. Because as long as we keep trying, we've not failed. And everyone has a stumbling block somewhere along the way. Some people, may have too much alcohol. Some people may enjoy sweets too much. That's just we all have something, and ultimately, as long as you keep trying and you keep pushing forward and you're trying to improve yourself, which is phenomenal, just keep getting up, right? As long as you keep getting up, you're not failing. You're doing a great job, right? It's hard sometimes. Things can be hard. I understand where you're coming from, and I know that you're not alone, right? So I would ask you, if you got some value in this episode, please feel free to subscribe and like and leave us a comment if you enjoyed this episode and it gave you some peace of mind. And I appreciate you tuning in, and I hope you'll come back and see us again soon. And I hope you have a great holiday. Bye-bye.